She doesn't fear losing the man who constantly seeks her approval. She fears losing the man who respects himself, lives with purpose, and refuses to make anyone the center of his world. If you want to know why some men naturally command respect without begging for attention, stay until the end, because these 6 lessons can completely change the way women see you. Comment, I'm the prize. Number 1. Value your own time. Your time is the one thing nobody can give back to you, yet many men hand it away the moment a woman gives them attention because they believe constant availability proves loyalty, kindness, or love. But the truth is that when your entire schedule depends on her mood, her replies, and her choices, you quietly teach her that your life becomes small without her in it, and that never creates respect because people naturally value what has purpose beyond them. So instead of waiting all day for her message, changing your plans every time she suddenly becomes available, or putting your goals aside because you hope she notices your effort, build a life that continues moving whether she joins it or not, because a man with direction carries a quiet confidence that cannot be copied, and that confidence changes every conversation without needing clever words or dramatic actions. She notices when you no longer rush to answer every message within seconds, not because you are playing games, but because your attention belongs to responsibilities, ambitions, family, friends, and personal growth before it belongs to anyone else. And that difference speaks louder than any compliment you could ever give her, because it tells her that your life has weight and meaning. Many men believe that giving more always earns more love, yet they end up exhausted because they keep proving themselves to someone who keeps raising the standard while giving very little in return. And every time that happens, they become even more desperate to earn approval, creating a cycle that slowly destroys their confidence. A high-value man refuses to live like that because he understands that his worth is not measured by how much he sacrifices for someone who has not earned that place in his life. He gives freely, but only where there is appreciation, honesty, and effort coming back. If she cancels plans again and again without respect for your time, you do not argue, beg, or try harder to impress her. You simply continue living your life, because someone who repeatedly treats your time as unimportant is showing you exactly how much they value your presence. Many men ignore these signs because they fear losing the opportunity, but every time you ignore disrespect, you slowly teach yourself that your own standards do not matter, and once that happens, your confidence begins to disappear. Instead, protect your schedule, keep your promises to yourself, and let your actions show that your mission matters every single day. Wake up with purpose, improve your health, increase your skills, strengthen your finances, and become dependable to yourself before expecting anyone else to value you. She may become curious when she sees that your attention is no longer easy to control, because genuine purpose creates curiosity without trying to create it. That does not mean treating her badly or pretending not to care. It means refusing to abandon yourself for temporary attention. There is a huge difference between kindness and dependence, and many men confuse the two until they wonder why their relationships always leave them empty. Real strength comes from giving because you choose to, not because you fear she will leave if you stop. The moment your happiness depends completely on her approval, you hand over control of your emotional life, and sooner or later that imbalance becomes obvious. A man who respects his own time also respects everyone else's time, because discipline begins with the promises you keep to yourself. Every workout you complete, every book you finish, every business you build, every skill you improve, and every difficult decision you face without running away becomes another brick in the foundation of your confidence. That foundation cannot be shaken by delayed replies, changing emotions, or mixed signals, because your identity stands on something much stronger than someone else's attention. Ironically, This is when she begins to wonder where she truly stands in your life, because she sees that your purpose remains steady, whether she is present or absent, and that creates a kind of respect that cannot be demanded or negotiated. The goal is never to make her anxious for entertainment. The goal is to become a man whose life is already meaningful, because when your purpose becomes bigger than your need for validation, your presence becomes valuable, your words carry more weight, your decisions become clearer, and the right people naturally understand that losing access to a man who values his own time is not a small loss. Number 2. Stay calm under pressure. Emotional control changes everything because many men lose their strongest position the moment emotions take over, sending long messages after one short reply, demanding explanations when she becomes distant, reacting with anger when she tests boundaries, or trying harder every time her interest becomes uncertain, and every one of those reactions quietly tells her that your emotional state depends on what she decides to do next. A high-value man refuses to hand over that power because he understands that another person's behavior is information, not an instruction telling him how he must react. If she becomes cold for a while, he does not panic. If she changes her mind, he does not beg. If she disagrees with him, he does not lose control trying to prove he is right. He remains steady because he knows that self-control protects his peace better than emotional outbursts ever could. Many men spend hours wondering why she suddenly became different, searching for hidden meanings behind every message and every silence. But this constant overthinking slowly steals their confidence because their attention becomes trapped inside questions that often have no useful answer. Instead, focus on what you can actually control. Control your response, control your standards, control your actions, control your direction. That is where real strength grows. She may test your patience, consciously or unconsciously, because people naturally notice where another person's limits exist. If every emotional change from her creates panic inside you, she learns that your mood is easy to influence. If your behavior stays respectful, calm, and consistent, she learns that your character does not change with every emotional moment. That kind of stability is rare because many men react before they think. They speak from frustration instead of wisdom. They chase explanations instead of observing actions. They argue over words while ignoring repeated behavior. Calm men notice patterns instead of excuses. They understand that actions always carry more truth than promises. If she says she cares, but repeatedly treats you like an option, believe the behavior instead of the speech. If she genuinely values your presence, her actions eventually make that clear without endless confusion. Remaining calm never means accepting poor treatment. It means refusing to lose your dignity while deciding what comes next. You can walk away peacefully without creating drama. You can disagree without shouting. You can end a conversation without insults. You can protect your standards without trying to control another person. That quiet confidence becomes powerful because it grows from discipline rather than emotion. Many men secretly believe that stronger emotional reactions prove deeper love, yet uncontrolled emotion often produces weak decisions that damage both confidence and relationships. Instead, build the habit of pausing before speaking, thinking before reacting, and asking yourself whether your next action protects your future or only satisfies today's emotion. That single habit changes everything, because every calm decision strengthens your identity. Every controlled response reminds you that your peace belongs to you alone. As that discipline grows, you stop living in constant uncertainty, because your confidence no longer depends on whether she approves, replies quickly, or constantly reassures you. You become someone who remains grounded regardless of changing circumstances, and that inner stability becomes noticeable without announcing it. she may begin to realize that emotional pressure no longer controls your behavior, and that creates respect, because calm strength is difficult to replace. The objective is never to manipulate her emotions. The objective is to become the kind of man whose character stays firm when life becomes difficult, because that is the man who keeps his self-respect, protects his future, and inspires genuine admiration through consistent actions instead of emotional reactions. Number 3. Keep some mystery. You do not become valuable by telling someone everything about yourself in the first few conversations, because genuine connection grows over time, not all at once, and many men make the mistake of believing they must constantly explain themselves, constantly prove their intentions, and constantly share every thought in order to keep a woman's attention. But the opposite often happens, because when nothing is left to discover, curiosity begins to disappear. Instead of trying to impress with endless stories or achievements, allow your actions to speak first. Speak with purpose instead of speaking simply to fill silence. Listen carefully before you respond. Give honest answers without revealing every detail of your life before trust has been built. This is not about pretending to be someone you are not. It is about understanding that every meaningful relationship develops step by step. A man who has confidence does not rush, because he knows his value does not depend on creating excitement every minute. He enjoys the conversation without trying to control where it leads. If she becomes interested, she has space to ask questions and discover more about who you are naturally. That creates a stronger connection than constantly trying to keep her entertained. Many men become anxious when there is silence, so they immediately begin talking again, apologizing for things that need no apology, or sharing personal struggles before the relationship has earned that level of trust. Slow down. Let moments breathe. Allow your confidence to be seen through your patience. The strongest presence in the room is often the person who speaks with intention instead of urgency. When you stop seeking approval through constant conversation, your words gain more meaning because they are no longer driven by fear. Build interests outside dating. Read, learn, travel, improve your career, strengthen your health, and create experiences that shape your character. Then, when you speak, your stories come from a life that is already moving forward, instead of from a need to impress someone sitting across from you. Curiosity grows when there is substance behind your character, not when there is endless talking. If she loses interest simply because you are not constantly performing for her attention, that tells you something important about compatibility. The right connection does not require you to abandon your personality or live in constant performance mode. Protect your peace by allowing relationships to grow naturally, instead of forcing them to develop faster than they should. When you become comfortable with silence, comfortable with patience, and comfortable with letting others discover you over time, you remove unnecessary pressure from yourself. You stop measuring every conversation as a test you must pass. You begin enjoying your own company, and that quiet confidence becomes noticeable because it comes from security within yourself, rather than from a need for outside approval. A man who is grounded never fears that every conversation must be perfect. He trusts that genuine interest grows through consistency, honesty, and self-respect, and that mindset changes not only how others see him, but also how he sees himself. Number 4. Build a full life. A relationship should add to your life, not become your entire life, and many men lose sight of that because they slowly place one person at the center of everything they do until their hobbies disappear, their friendships become distant, their ambitions are delayed, and their sense of purpose begins depending on whether the relationship is going well. That creates pressure for both people, because no single person can carry the responsibility of being another person's only source of happiness. Build a life that remains meaningful every day, regardless of your relationship status. Wake up with goals that excite you. Develop skills that improve your future. Take care of your health because a strong body supports a strong mind. Spend time with people who challenge you to become better. Continue learning even when nobody is watching. Every small improvement becomes another reason to respect yourself, and self-respect changes the way you walk, speak, decide, and respond. When your identity is built on purpose instead of approval, you become far more resilient because temporary disappointments no longer define your future. If someone chooses not to continue the relationship, your direction remains intact because your mission never depended on one person alone. That is not coldness. It is emotional maturity. It allows you to care deeply without losing yourself in the process. A healthy relationship grows between two complete individuals, not between one person carrying purpose and another searching for it. Continue investing in your future because every hour spent improving yourself creates opportunities that no relationship can replace. Build financial discipline. Learn to solve problems calmly. Keep your promises to yourself. Become dependable in private before seeking recognition in public. These habits shape your character over months and years, and character is far more attractive than temporary displays of confidence. You also become better at choosing relationships because you are no longer driven by loneliness or fear of being alone. Instead, you look for mutual respect, shared values, honest communication, and consistent effort. That shift protects your peace because you stop accepting situations that constantly drain your energy simply to avoid being single. The greatest transformation begins when you realize your life has value long before anyone enters it. From that point forward, every relationship becomes a choice instead of a necessity. You give because you genuinely want to, not because you believe giving everything away is the only way to keep someone close. That perspective creates stronger boundaries, wiser decisions, and a deeper sense of confidence that remains steady through changing circumstances, allowing you to build relationships from strength rather than dependence. If you are ready to build that kind of quiet confidence from the inside out, the Stoic Relationship Blueprint for Men is linked in the comments, packed with timeless principles you can apply immediately to strengthen your mindset, your relationships, and your self-respect. And it is now available as an audiobook, so you can absorb these life-changing lessons while driving, exercising, jogging, or going about your day. And because it is yours forever, you will always have access to this knowledge whenever life challenges you or you need a reminder of the man you are becoming. Also, the Stoic Relationship Blueprint course for men is launching in the coming weeks, so if you want early access before everyone else, comment Blueprint below, because this could be the investment that changes not only the way you approach relationships, but the way you approach every part of your life. Number 5. Let her invest too. A healthy relationship is never built by one person carrying all the effort while the other simply receives it. And one of the biggest mistakes you can make is believing that your value increases the more you give, without allowing the other person to contribute in return, because over time that creates an unhealthy balance where your energy, attention, time, and emotional investment continue to grow while hers stays the same. Instead, allow the relationship to develop naturally by giving her space to show interest through her own actions. If she enjoys spending time with you, she will make an effort to stay connected. If she values your company, she will look for opportunities to be part of your life. You do not need to force that process. You do not need to convince someone to appreciate what you bring. Your responsibility is to show up honestly, communicate clearly, and pay attention to whether effort is mutual. When you stop measuring your worth by how much you can do for someone else, You begin choosing relationships based on shared respect instead of constant sacrifice. This also changes the way you see yourself, because every time you allow another person to meet you halfway, you remind yourself that your time and energy have value. Do not rush to solve every problem, fix every inconvenience, or carry every conversation. Let the connection breathe. Give the other person opportunities to participate, to plan, to communicate, and to demonstrate consistency. Relationships become stronger when both people invest in building them. If you notice that you are always the one reaching out, always making plans, always keeping the conversation alive, pause for a moment and ask yourself whether the relationship is truly balanced. This is not about keeping score, it is about protecting your self-respect. Healthy relationships grow through mutual interest, not through endless effort from one side. Continue building your own life while allowing genuine interest to reveal itself naturally. That approach removes unnecessary pressure and helps you recognize connections that are based on appreciation rather than convenience. You become calmer because you are no longer trying to control every outcome. Instead, you observe actions over time and make thoughtful decisions based on what consistently happens rather than on temporary emotions. That quiet confidence creates stronger relationships because it comes from security within yourself rather than from fear of losing someone. Number 6. Set clear boundaries. Boundaries are not walls that push people away. They are clear standards that protect your peace, your values, and your self-respect. Many men hesitate to set boundaries because they worry they will disappoint someone or create conflict, but avoiding difficult conversations often creates far bigger problems later. A confident man communicates respectfully while remaining firm about what he will and will not accept. He does not raise his voice to prove a point, and he does not abandon his principles simply to keep another person happy. Instead, he speaks honestly, follows through with his actions, and understands that respect grows when words and actions stay consistent. If someone repeatedly ignores your time, dismisses your concerns, or refuses to communicate with honesty, acknowledge what you see instead of inventing excuses for behavior that continues without change. Pay attention to patterns because repeated actions reveal far more than promises. Setting boundaries also means respecting the boundaries of others. Healthy relationships are built on mutual consideration, personal responsibility, and open communication. You cannot control another person's choices, but you always control your own response. That understanding gives you peace because it keeps your focus on the one thing that truly belongs to you, your character. Every time you choose patience over impulsive reactions, every time you remain calm during disagreement, and every time you walk away from situations that repeatedly damage your well-being, you strengthen your confidence. Your standards become part of your identity instead of something you only talk about. Over time, this changes every relationship in your life, because people learn that your kindness is genuine but not limitless. Your patience is real but not endless, and your respect for others begins with respect for yourself. The strongest foundation you can build is a life guided by clear values, disciplined choices, and steady character. From that place you no longer seek approval at the cost of your dignity. You choose relationships that encourage growth, honesty, and mutual effort, and you quietly leave behind situations that consistently undermine your peace. That decision is not an act of pride. It is an act of self-respect, and it allows you to build a future where your confidence comes from living according to your principles every single day, rather than from depending on someone else's validation. Number 7. Make every moment count. Every day gives you another opportunity to become the kind of man who commands respect through his actions instead of demanding it through his words. Yet many men spend years waiting for the perfect relationship, the perfect opportunity, or the perfect moment before they decide to fully invest in themselves, and that delay quietly steals time that can never be recovered, because your greatest advantage is not what happened yesterday or what might happen tomorrow, but what you choose to do today. Every decision you make either strengthens your character or weakens it. Every promise you keep to yourself builds trust within yourself. Every difficult task you complete without making excuses increases your confidence one step at a time. This is how lasting change happens. It is not created through dramatic speeches or temporary motivation. It is created through consistent choices that align with the life you want to build. If you want to become a man whose presence carries weight, begin by treating your own life as something valuable. Protect your health because your body carries you through every challenge. Protect your mind by refusing to let temporary emotions control permanent decisions. Protect your time because once it is gone, it never returns. Protect your integrity because your reputation begins with the promises you make when nobody is watching. Relationships become healthier when they are built on mutual respect rather than constant uncertainty. Instead of asking yourself how to keep someone interested every single day, ask whether you are becoming someone you genuinely respect. That question changes your focus completely because it moves your attention away from seeking approval and toward building a life with purpose. There will always be moments when another person's choices disappoint you, but those moments do not define your future unless you allow them to. You cannot control another person's emotions, expectations, or decisions, but you can always control your response, your standards, and your direction. That understanding creates a quiet strength that cannot be taken away by changing circumstances. You stop wasting energy trying to force outcomes that are outside your control and begin investing that same energy into becoming wiser, calmer, healthier, and more capable. Over time, people naturally notice the difference because genuine confidence is difficult to ignore. It appears in the way you speak with intention instead of urgency. It appears in the way you remain respectful without abandoning your standards. It appears in the way you continue moving forward even when life becomes difficult. You no longer depend on constant reassurance because your confidence grows from your daily habits, your discipline, and your commitment to becoming better than you were yesterday. That transformation influences every part of your life. Your career benefits because you become more dependable. Your friendships become stronger because you bring stability instead of unnecessary drama. Your relationships improve because they are built on honesty, patience, and mutual effort, instead of insecurity and constant pressure. You begin choosing people who appreciate your character rather than simply your attention, and you become willing to walk away from situations that repeatedly pull you away from your values. That decision is not about pride. It is about protecting the future you are working so hard to create. The greatest lesson is simple. Never build your identity around another person's approval. Build it around your principles, your purpose, your discipline, and your willingness to grow every single day. When you become a man who respects himself, values his time, remains calm under pressure, communicates with honesty, sets healthy boundaries, and continues moving toward meaningful goals, your life changes from the inside out. At that point, whether someone chooses to walk beside you or not, no longer determines your worth, because your worth is no longer something you ask others to measure. It is something you strengthen through your actions every single day. That is the path that leads to lasting confidence, deeper relationships, and a life that remains meaningful regardless of changing circumstances. And it is a path that begins with one simple decision: to stop waiting for life to change and start becoming the man you know you are capable of being today. Your future changes the moment you stop waiting for someone else to give you value and start building it yourself. So if you're ready for that journey, comment, "I choose discipline." Grab the Stoic Relationship Blueprint for Men, linked in the comments, filled with timeless principles you can apply immediately and now available as an audiobook so you can listen while driving, jogging, exercising, or going about your day. Then like this video and subscribe to help more men discover these life-changing lessons before they waste years repeating the same mistakes. Many voices profit from keeping men distracted instead of disciplined, but this knowledge has stood the test of more than 2,000 years. And now it's your turn to apply it in your life and relationships, while I put the finishing touches on the Stoic Relationship Blueprint course for men, launching in the coming weeks to help you take these principles even deeper.